SITREP Monthly Digest for June 2026. Conflict and security dynamics this month were dominated by escalating tensions in the Middle East, particularly between the United States, Iran, and Israel, with significant military exchanges and diplomatic efforts to stabilize volatile situations. The region witnessed a series of ceasefire agreements and subsequent violations, highlighting the fragile nature of peace efforts amid ongoing hostilities. Additionally, the conflict in Ukraine continued to draw international attention with significant attacks on Russian territory and infrastructure. The U.S. and Iran engaged in a series of military exchanges around the Strait of Hormuz, with both sides accusing each other of ceasefire violations. These confrontations led to temporary halts in military operations, followed by resumed negotiations aimed at reopening critical maritime routes and de-escalating regional tensions. In Lebanon, Israel's military operations against Hezbollah intensified despite attempts at ceasefire agreements. The conflict led to significant civilian casualties and displacement, with Israeli strikes extending into urban centers and strategic locations, further complicating the security landscape in the region. Ukraine's ongoing conflict with Russia saw increased drone attacks on Russian territory, including strategic sites in Moscow and the St. Petersburg region. These actions underscored Ukraine's capability and intent to target deep within Russian borders, raising the stakes in the broader conflict between the two nations. The month saw significant shifts in global diplomacy and governance, marked by a mix of electoral outcomes, diplomatic engagements, and geopolitical tensions. Political transitions in Europe and Latin America underscored the shifting political landscapes, while major powers engaged in strategic negotiations to manage regional conflicts and nuclear threats. The interplay between domestic politics and international diplomacy remained a dominant theme, reflecting the interconnected nature of global governance. In Europe, Hungary experienced a political transformation with the election of Peter Magyar, ending Viktor Orban's long-standing rule and signaling a potential shift in the country's EU relations. Meanwhile, Armenia's parliamentary election reinforced Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's pro-Western trajectory, emphasizing a strategic pivot away from Russian influence. Tensions in the Middle East persisted, with the United States mediating talks between Israel and Lebanon to de-escalate cross-border conflicts. Concurrently, U.S.-Iran negotiations in Switzerland and Qatar focused on nuclear program discussions, though public disagreements highlighted ongoing challenges in reaching a comprehensive agreement. In Latin America, Colombia's presidential election resulted in a narrow victory for Abelardo de la Espriella, reflecting deep political divisions within the country. In Bolivia, the government's declaration of a state of emergency in response to widespread protests illustrated the volatile political climate in the region. The science and technology sector witnessed significant advancements and challenges, reflecting both progress and ongoing risks in space and computing. Key developments included a landmark financial move in the commercial space industry and a notable breakthrough in quantum computing reliability. Meanwhile, NASA faced both operational challenges and strategic planning in its space missions. SpaceX announced its intention to raise $75 billion through a U.S. IPO, aiming for a valuation of approximately $1.75 trillion. This move marks a historic moment for the commercial space sector, offering public investors a stake in a company integral to U.S. space endeavors. Microsoft unveiled its Majorana 2 quantum chip, claiming a substantial improvement in reliability over previous models. This advancement is pivotal for the development of practical quantum computing, addressing a major hurdle in the field and setting a timeline for solving commercially relevant problems by the decade's end. NASA named the crew for its Artemis 3 mission, scheduled for 2027, focusing on testing spacecraft systems as part of its broader lunar exploration strategy. This mission is crucial for validating technologies and operations essential for future lunar landings. An air leak in the ISS's Russian segment prompted NASA to place the crew on evacuation alert during repairs. This incident underscores the ongoing risks associated with maintaining aging space infrastructure and highlights the importance of international collaboration in addressing such challenges. The month saw significant environmental and health challenges, marked by devastating natural disasters and a severe Ebola outbreak. The Democratic Republic of the Congo faced an escalating Ebola crisis, with cases spreading beyond initial clusters, while misinformation and logistical hurdles hindered containment efforts. Concurrently, natural disasters struck Venezuela and the Philippines, causing widespread destruction and loss of life, further straining emergency response capabilities. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Ebola outbreak intensified, surpassing 500 cases and spreading into neighboring Uganda. The response was hampered by misinformation and logistical challenges, prompting international aid, including financial support from the European Union, to bolster containment and treatment efforts. Venezuela experienced its deadliest seismic disaster in over a century, with twin earthquakes killing more than 900 people and triggering a massive search and rescue operation. The disaster highlighted the vulnerability of the region's infrastructure and the urgent need for international assistance in rescue and recovery efforts. The Philippines also faced a major earthquake, resulting in significant casualties and infrastructure damage. The event underscored the region's susceptibility to seismic activity and the ongoing need for robust disaster preparedness and response strategies. Meanwhile, Europe grappled with a record-breaking heat wave, attributed to human-caused climate change by attribution scientists. This extreme weather event underscored the growing impact of climate change on global weather patterns and the urgent need for comprehensive climate action. The month saw significant developments in society and human rights, marked by governmental actions and public protests. Migration policies and deportation measures were at the forefront, with both the European Union and the United States making pivotal decisions affecting large populations. Meanwhile, public demonstrations highlighted ongoing societal tensions and resistance against economic and political policies. The European Union approved a comprehensive migration reform, enabling faster deportations and permitting offshore detention centers. This decision reflects a shift towards stricter controls on irregular migration and aims to streamline the process of handling asylum seekers within the bloc. In the United States, the Supreme Court's decision to allow the termination of protected status for over 350,000 Haitians and 6,000 Syrians marks a significant change in immigration policy. This ruling potentially exposes these individuals to deportation, impacting communities that have resided in the country for extended periods. Public dissent was evident in Geneva, where anti-G7 protesters clashed with police ahead of the summit in Evian-les-Bains. The demonstrations underscored opposition to global economic policies and showcased the city's strategic importance during the summit. In Nairobi, Kenyan authorities blocked anniversary protests of the Gen Z movement against the 2024 finance bill with a major security operation. The move highlighted the government's continued sensitivity to youth-led challenges and the enduring legacy of past demonstrations. The economic landscape in June 2026 was marked by significant developments in both corporate and monetary sectors, with major companies preparing for public offerings and central banks maintaining cautious stances on interest rates. The dual focus on corporate growth and monetary stability highlighted the ongoing tension between innovation-driven market dynamics and the need for regulatory oversight to manage inflation and economic growth. OpenAI and SpaceX both initiated processes for stock market debuts in the United States, signaling a pivotal moment for the technology and aerospace sectors. These moves underscore the growing influence of AI and space exploration industries on global markets and investor interest. In Europe, the EU took steps to strengthen its trade defenses in response to increasing Chinese exports, reflecting a strategic approach to protect local industries while maintaining diplomatic channels with Beijing. This highlights the EU's balancing act between economic protectionism and international trade relations. The UK experienced steady inflation rates, with slowing food price increases counterbalancing rising petrol costs. This stability remains a concern for the Bank of England, which continues to grapple with inflation above its target, affecting economic policy decisions. The U.S. Federal Reserve held interest rates steady, with Chair Kevin Warsh signaling potential future hikes and an internal review of Fed operations. This cautious approach indicates a focus on managing inflation and economic stability in the latter half of 2026. The energy and infrastructure landscape this month was marked by significant geopolitical and environmental developments, impacting global energy pricing and infrastructure resilience. The U.S.-Iran peace deal emerged as a pivotal event, easing tensions in the Middle East and influencing oil markets. Meanwhile, Europe faced infrastructure challenges due to extreme weather conditions, highlighting vulnerabilities in public services. The U.S.-Iran peace agreement led to a notable reduction in energy market volatility, as it alleviated fears of supply disruptions in the Middle East. The accord facilitated the resumption of maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil transit route, contributing to a decline in global oil prices. In Azerbaijan, discussions at Baku Energy Week underscored grid infrastructure as a critical bottleneck in energy supply chains. The event highlighted the need for investment in energy infrastructure to accommodate growing production and export demands, reflecting a broader global challenge in energy distribution networks. Western Europe experienced a severe heatwave that tested the resilience of public infrastructure and services. Record temperatures strained power systems and necessitated emergency responses, underscoring the impact of climate change on infrastructure stability and public health management. Sources and the full written briefing are available at sitrepbrief.com.